to begin our presentations again, I'm excited to welcome Sandy Sagar back to the stage. And I am really so excited to introduce you again to Ihan. This person has a wealth of knowledge and experience. I think it's her humility that really strikes me as impressive. So with 20 years of experience, with more than 20 years of experience, with the Connexall customer service experience in product management, sales support, implementation, technical support, and training. She is very passionate about innovation to further Connexall's roadmap and product to support the healthcare customers. She has a wonderful balance between technical, clinical, and business to have a holistic view. As you have experienced, she loves working with you, the customers, and I often hear from the customers how much you love working with her. So, with no further ado, I welcome both of you to the stage.
Welcome. As I was standing at the back of the room and seeing everyone, either you're coming back or just come here the first time. Yesterday, actually, there was a customer asking, have we asked Jen to ask how many people are first time here to attend the WorldConnex? Raise your hand. Wow. There's a lot. We can't take it for granted to seeing the familiar face and seeing new faces. So, regarding Sandy, I just wanted to make a quick note. 6 years ago, Sandy was our customer. He was presenting at the WorldConnex, and I was supposed to support him. So I support him at the backstage. And as of today, he is part of the family. And now they say, hey, Sandy, now you're supporting me. So, and I told him there is no visibility for him today on the stage. This is the best time he can join. So.
Well, I have a rebuttal to that. I think on your agendas, it only has Ihan's name on it, but I think I had a bit of FOMO. I'm like, you're going to talk about the product roadmap. I need to join you on stage. So thank you for allowing me to join you on stage, Ihan.
Thank you, Sandy. So as we talk about this year's theme for the WorldConnex, this is actually the guideline, the design guideline for our team, not only for the product, for the development, for the entire company, is, I want to reiterate again, it is about innovation. Innovate, it is more about, I remember as a comment yesterday, actually wrote down in my notebook. It says the innovation is a change in method or technology, a positive, useful departure from the previous ways of doing things. So I think if you're being a long-standing customer with a Connexall, you probably realize it's the same product as being configured, customized in different way, and you're using it at a different department at the hospital. This is coming from the innovation, our team together with you. So you're part of the innovation family. So later, if we talk about, hey, the product is not innovating, we have the blame, and we want you guys to join and make sure that happens as well. So in one thing is, Connexall has been provide a lot of integrations, as everybody know. But what we're doing recently is particularly focused to support Jen's team, support clinical team, and supporting the customer is to create more innovative use cases. So I think innovative use cases is you can use Connexall in a lot of different areas. Then how do we leverage the integration, interoperability, and eventually to bring the outcome, the clinical outcome you're looking for? Even though I'm not clinical, I have no clinical background, but I have a passion to support the clinical team. Just like all of you guys here, if you are not in the clinical practice yourself, but you are part of the strong support to the nurses, to the clinicians, and the physicians to the recovery journey for the patient. When we talk about integrate, first, I'm an engineer by trade. So first, when you talk about integration, great. We integrate with the systems, the technologies, and all of these individual systems or data. But like I wanted to refer to what Ed was saying yesterday, it resonated with me very well. It is about you actually integrate with people. You connect the people together. You connected the people from one department with the other, and you connected your healthcare support staff with your patient. And we're connected with our technology vendors, and we're connected with all of you. So integration to me, it's not just the hardcore technology. Integration means we talk, we exchange ideas, and we work towards a common goal. And the third one, I think the elevate, everybody has your own definition of elevate. But I probably put my personal spin on the elevate is we're going to elevate the user experience. I think if you're being long with Connexall, we originally really focused on do the heavy lifting. We wanted to make sure all the integrations are done properly. We wanted to make sure every single piece of data notification gets to the responder's hand. Regardless, if they can't respond, we wanted to make sure someone else actually took it. But now as we are looking at elevate, it's not only elevate the technology, we want to elevate the team. We want to elevate the team spirit because there is lots of a gain for our development team here, from our operations team here, to hear the great stories from you, to see how actually our solutions and our services helped you to help the patient. So elevate means to me is more about elevate the user experience, elevate the care outcome, and to provide operational excellence. So we're first is going to, this is what we did last year. First, we're going to do a review of this year. Even though this event is in October, we still got 2.5 months. But I can't wait to share with all of you what we have done so far. As having a conversation with all of you when we have the lunch break and the dinner break, it is surprising to me that everybody is using Connexall in the original project-based use. But then you start to expand. But still, there are a lot of opportunities. I hear customers say, I didn't know you guys do that. Oh, can you do this? Can you explain to me? So I think this user conference is not the only avenue that we can share with you what we have done so far. But I think we're just using this one as an opportunity. And please go talk to our team, talk to your account rep, and be able to dive deep more and exchange the ideas with your peers here. Because I often said, even if it's something that Connexall may not be help right from the get-go, you can share the experience with each other. Because as a hospital, even though everybody is different, but some common problems, challenges is always there. So we're going to quickly talk about this. For the 2024 highlights, we're going to first focus a bit on the new integrations and functions and features. I guess this gets a lot of technical people excited. But I think I always wanted to put a spin. What does that mean? Why do we do this, right? Because people always ask, why is the first, and how is the second, and what is the third? Or what is the second, how is the third? So we always wanted to, this is the result, this is the how. But we wanted to dive back, say why this is created. So as some of you already know, Connexall has the ability to do real-time voice notification. So through a dialer, a PBX connectivity. So in case you need to do overhead paging, I know there are several hospitals that are doing overhead paging with your codes. So you can use a Connexall to real-time text-to-speech, which means you don't have to pre-record any of the messages. And based on the alarm, based on the content, real-time it will convert it to the voice. So it can be a voice notification to your phone. It can be a voice to the overhead paging to create the consistencies and follow your emergency preparedness process. The reason I brought this up on the stage is we used to have a client. Because the vendor changed, so we elevated this integration to a new integration. So in case you're using the old one, this is a great opportunity to talk to us to how you leverage the new ones. And with a lot of Connexall participating in many new hospital buildings. So as of speak today, we have 2 new hospital built that we're working on with the construction company, with the designing company. So like I said, these are the luxury for the hospital who can design a new building, like a Valley. Like they get a chance to dream these in advance instead of say, oh, I have to adapt what I have in the hospital. So with those integrations, we just finished a JCI secure access control integration. So this is go above and beyond than just the simple alarms. So we worked very closely with the technology vendors, and our great product team at the back can answer more questions. How do we leverage these integrations? And for Nihon Kohden patient monitor system, they created an enhanced message format. So with that, we can leverage the clinical application by trying different suspend, trying the delays. In this way, we'll be able to provide a more effective workflow. And this is what Jen somewhere here would love to hear, that we offer this for the clinical elevator program as well. As we all know, the Connexall has been sitting heavily on the data. And there is probably 2 big topics around these days, is about data and about AI, right? I guess these are the typical term of the day or term of these 4 days. So in order to up our performance, in order to be ready for a future with all what we're going to share, so the team has spending tremendous time and investment on the database modernization. I know this might sound, I was telling Sandy on the side, this is not exciting. Nobody say, yay, they did the database modernization. But I would say, if you look at the foundation block, you can always have to make sure the foundation is solid. Then you can build anything on top of your wish. So these are the must. And even though, like I said, it's not fancy, but we have all the development teams here as well who put a tremendous time. Kudos to them. And this is how we kept our product. Not only offer you all the feature, but it be very solid and for safety purpose as well. We also, as Valley probably already apologize, I missed some of your presentation, but I saw those before. Hey, we'll be working with you, so it's okay. So Valley is just like a lot of you pushed us over our envelope trying to continue to innovate. And we always feel that they are part of our extended development and product team, right? So we finalized our assignment sharing publisher. So before you know, we can take the assignment from EMR. But now we said, hey, it's not just one way. We can publish the assignment. So in this way, it is all about what to make it convenient for your clinician. Because I remember someone was saying yesterday, how do I get my clinician to do this stuff? But it's more about how do we show them you can eliminate dual data entry. How can we help you to be more effective, economic, and efficiency? So if you can do that, these are the tools you can leverage. And Sandy is going to talk more about the excitement regarding the cloud deployment. I'm just not going to steal the thunder. And again, this is in a Valley push the feature is by integrated with the Microsoft Secure Group in order to control the access. Because I think this is always like a sport, right? You have a offense and you have a defense. Offense is you create the fancy features, new integration, but defense is more about you have to make sure it worked, you have to make sure all the access are right, and you make sure there's no information that's being provided to the people who may not need to know. So these are the additional integration. Again, may not be very sleek, but it is necessary. And thank you for the team to push us to go through that. And I think this is one thing that probably everybody's going to ask. And they say, okay, what is the dialer? So I think you've been asking us a long time. I see a lot of smiley faces. Great. At least we do the right thing, right? So this is about Mobile Connects. Later, I'm going to spend more time talking about our mobility and the collaboration side. But this is the one that we're in the MVP phase that we're testing our own dialer. So Mobile Connects is the application on your iOS, Android, and the web, and be able to receive notifications and send secure messaging, do the assignment, and even trigger the alarm. So I'm going to spend a bit more time on that later. And I think we heard that some hospital actually using WhatsApp for their communications. Yeah. And one thing we asked them is, say, why? Like we said, healthcare, besides the PHIs, the security, there's one thing I admire all the nurses, because I was shadowing a nurse for the entire hospital in a week time. The whole week I spent on the floor with the nurse. So I went to the pediatric unit, I went to the neonatal intensive unit, and the med-surg unit. I went with all of the people. One thing I think I mentioned this before, is I have to apologize. We always say nurses don't want to change. Well, they're afraid of new technologies. That's absolutely is not true. They just worry about you introduce a piece of a technology, they don't feel that it can help you. So they would try anything, everything to help with the patient care. That's the reason I'm saying, when you talk about the WhatsApp, we're asking, what do you like about it? So they say, oh, we can retract the message, because sometimes everybody did an auto-spelling correction, make some weird, messages, and we wanted to quote. So we're adding these features into the Mobile Connects in order to make the user experience. And again, as we push more, I think in this way, we wanted to be a bit more bold than we were before. We were very bold on technology side, but we're not bold in telling everybody this is where we wanted to go. So this is the year that we wanted to explore more, as Sandy and I will share with you, is we do wanted to tell you this is what we have committed, and this is why we wanted to move forward with it. So in the web application, and we just been working with the hospitals talking about the single sign-on, and with a particular identity providers of their choice. And as you can see from the Innovation Center, we have lots of unit whiteboard talking about how we show the patient information, the shared resources, and the hospital resources. This is what we want to change. Not only we wanted to elevate and all the integrations, we wanted to be in front of you. We wanted to be in front of every single clinician, pushing our application there to help them to their day-to-day operations. So I guess here is Sandy's.
Thank you. Thanks, Yihan. So what are we celebrating this year besides WorldConnex? 25 years, right? 25-year celebration. The Connexall platform being around since 1999. And it really was an opportunity for us collectively to reflect, as I shared yesterday, but also look forward. Did we want to be seen as a mature solutions provider, that tried, tested, and true partner? Yes, of course. But we didn't want that to limit the pace at which we advanced. And so as part of our 25th year of celebrating, we said, let's be more ambitious on our roadmap. Let's look at the product roadmap and say, where do we want to go from here? Is this where I end the presentation? And then we just, and leave it on the teaser, maybe not. But we really wanted to be bold, and we said, how do we think differently? How do we look at the natural extension of the platform? And how do we serve the healthcare community? What are the other opportunities out there to serve the healthcare community? So Yihan and I are excited to share one of our most ambitious roadmaps ever. So here we go. Our product roadmap is focused on 6 areas, and Yihan and I will take you through each. I get to go first.
You got to go first.
Okay.
And you
All right.
wanted to.
Okay, so, yes. We do need to limit photos only because of the confidentiality. Thank you, Jane. So, first and foremost, can't have a product roadmap these days without an AI strategy. And so, lots of work needs to be done foundationally here. Yihan mentioned database modernization. There's a lot of other activities. But certainly we can't look forward without planting the seeds and growing an AI strategy so we can create useful AI tools that provide meaningful results in the future. So let's start with smart alarms and artificial intelligence. I'm going to take you back to yesterday again. We talked about alarm fatigue. We talked about Connexall Elevate and factors that contribute to alarm fatigue. Could be frequency of alarms, could be types of alarms, could be the auditory sounds, right? The dinging and all of the noise that goes on in clinical units. So how do we take all the learnings that our clinical and analytics team is going to go out there and work with you on around alarm fatigue? How do we actually go back and look at the data and say, was this responded to? How was it responded to? And what if we actually got a notification that Nurse Sandy may be experiencing alarm fatigue? Instead of what happens today, as we know, is we talk about it perhaps months or even years after the fact. And really that serves as an injustice. When we look at the age of where we want to go and the data that we have, we certainly have to be proactive in these measures. So we launched a program around Connexall Elevate, but we certainly want to make sure that we launch a program here to say, how do we be proactive around alarm fatigue? And then, what if we even want to be not just predictive, we want to be prescriptive to say, what do we do now? What are the recommendations that are coming out of Nurse Sandy and their practice on that day or their practice over a period of time? So we really want to get into the weeds in terms of how do we use that data and not just be predictive, but also be prescriptive. Now, there's other use cases. An example that's being shared here is around falls prevention. Lots of work happening around falls prevention. And when you look at areas like falls prevention, there's multiple data sources. There's lots of data coming in and looking at fall risk scores and medical devices and smart beds, et cetera. But we are in a time where my Apple iPhone or my Apple Watch is also measuring my steadiness, my walking steadiness. Now, it's debatable whether every health institution is going to be onboarded, but we know where big tech is headed. And my father actually got an alert about a month ago, and I knew he was challenged with walking from his phone, saying, you are at risk of a fall in the next year. And it sort of opened my eyes to everything that's going on in the wearable environment, and Apple being one to also integrate their data into Epic, for example. But how do we now leverage this additional data that is getting more and more sophisticated, and we augment that with the fall risk profile that's happening in the hospital institution? How do we start to utilize these additional data sources and start to be more predictive in nature? The power in that is outstanding in terms of, when you have to care for a patient that presents in the ED that gets admitted, by the time you sometimes get to analyze where they are from a falls risk perspective, how do we get ahead of that? So really excited about the opportunity around areas like fall prevention. And then I'll also take you to AI virtual assistants. There's been a lot of talk and feedback from all of our customers around where the data sits, how do you get the data, how do I extract the data, how do I utilize the data within Connexall. And so we've thought long and hard about how to make this easier for all of you to pull the data. And clinical leaders, clinical staff, technical leaders, technical staff, pulling that data, we've heard time and time again, we need to make it easier. So when you do need to have a query How do we make it easier that the AI virtual assistant responds to you when you ask the question around alarm escalation? We want to make it simple for you to be able to say, this is the data that I needed to get. And I got it with one simple query. I didn't have to go find a report that I don't know where it exists. We know how that is. This is across all the enterprise, the applications that you run, and all the other solutions that you have. And we're expecting staff to go in and dig all these things out. We got to surface this information and make it easier to say, how do we do this? And then after, how do we ask the why? Well, why were they escalated, right? Secondary, tertiary questions around this. And then what about the alarm management profile? So what's the alarm distribution that's going out to my specific unit that I manage? And what else is happening on my unit? And then again, secondary and tertiary questions around that to say, okay, now break down those primary alarms that went to my nurses. So we need to get more and more sophisticated in raising the data, making it simpler and available to you, and then allowing you to dig through those primary, secondary, tertiary questions in a very simple and easy way. So we're really excited about moving over to virtual assistants, the idea around AI-based use cases like falls prevention, and also how do we get ahead of things like alarm fatigue when we know that we can utilize the data and then make those predictions and recommendations ahead of time. So these are some of the foundational things that we're looking forward to with our AI strategy. Back over to Ihan.
Thank you. And actually, Sandy and I have a big fight regarding the AI. This is the most exciting topic, and we both wanted to present. But then we said, well, Sandy did this co-pilot presentation last year, right, for those who actually joined the WorldConnex. Say, okay, you started, you continue. So he got the first portion of it. So when we talk about the mobility, first is AI strategy, like Sandy said, is one of the foundational block for the future use cases. But then in order just for AI, then there is another leg to it, which is the mobility. So we can't keep the nurse at the bedside all the time because they have to walk around to get things. They can't be at the nursing station all the time because they got other stuff to do. So providing mobility is one of the most important things for the IT and for the hospital. So what we're trying to say is we wanted to give the ability for the clinicians to be able to use the mobility support to collaborate with their peers, with the patient, with the physician, regarding what's happening around the patient. So what we're looking at is, first, like I said before, I wanted to talk a bit about the mobile Connexall first, then talk about our integration with the other mobile app as well. So in Connexall, the mobile Connect, as you can see, the apps at the Innovation Center has been running on different devices. And this is what we would call all-in-one mobility and collaboration environment. The reason is, if we just look at the very high level, mobility is about you can make phone calls, you can receive alarms, you can send secure messaging. But if we actually break it deep down, we're looking at is, you need to be able to receive alert. But is this alert give you an icon-based? Is it text-based? Is that actually give you a different ringtone as a profile? So recently, I think Scripps has been presenting last year, Steve and his team has been talking about the creating a different ringtone for a mobile Connect because it fits in your environment. But also what now Connexall has elevated this as a part of the clinical elevator program pilot is we actually having a sound engineer record the sound, background sound in different areas in the hospital. So you will be able to see, amazing, this is where I think a technical might first say how this can happen. On 2D paper, you will see the color, you will see the X, Y, coordinates, but eventually it tells you a sound with different frequency at the time with different intensity on this one page. So what it does to tell you is Why sometimes your nurse cannot hear the sound? Because there's a constant, this kind of a vibration of the machines, opening, closing the doors of the elevator. So there is a sound masking. So the Soundscape project is to be able to identify your sound environment and be able to create a particular ringtone for your environment that it's harmony and it's not masked by the ambient sound. And also the mobile Connexall will be able to offer, well, not will be, it's actually already offer the customizable response. It is not just including acknowledge, callback, escalate. You have any other additional customer options you wanted to create to support your workflow, and they are reportable. And again, with that, you will be able to do the assignment directly from your device. You can view the assignment. You can make an edit of the assignment. So we're trying to keep everything in the mobile device at the convenience for the nurse. They don't have to go line up at the nursing station trying to do the assignment. And of course, if you take the assignment from EMR, that's the same thing. You can verify your assignment from the mobile device. And as we talk about the dialer, that is embedded in the system as well. And I think one thing that we've been asked by many customers is, from the mobile device, if I receive an alarm, and if I'm a new resident, I don't know where to go to this code blue from a room E3508. I know somewhere is on the 5th floor, but is there any map view for me to view where the alarm is? And this is also help a lot for your alarms, fire alarms, and other emergency preparedness. So there is a map view will be embedded in Mobile Connect and provide more convenience for you to get the information right from your handheld. Secure messaging will continue to enhance the secure messaging capabilities, because this is where people to talk to each other. But I think in Connexall, this is the often technical design comes into place. In order to get a message over to the other party, you can trigger an alarm, make sure other people get it, and you can get all the responses. Second is you can actually send them a secure messaging, and this is a peer-to-peer. And third is we have a centralized messaging system. You kind of like a switchboard, we call the web messaging system. I think Kate has been talking a lot about that. You can send them notifications as a messaging. So there's a lot of different ways. This is why we said that we would love to innovate together with you, because this is a platform and so many capabilities. We wanted to see what would be the use case. And the last but not the least, this is a very unique, it's existing as of today, but it's not being utilized to be aware by the customer quite a lot, is you can actually trigger an alarm from the device. So this is almost like the concept of a digital twin, right? So you have a physical hospital, you have floors, you have rooms, you have patients, you have nurses, you have devices. So in Connexall database, we have mapping every single thing. That is the digital twin. Now, you have a physical system, but you have a representation in the Connexall system. You may not want to drill a hole on the wall to put a button, but we can give you an alarm virtual. That has been existing in Connexall, as Cindy said, for 25 years. But now we put this one into the mobile, so you can trigger your codes, trigger your housekeeping request. Any activities that need action, you can trigger directly from the device. And as we said, not only we continue to improve and enhance our own app, we'll continue to work very closely with our integration partners regarding the other apps. Like Rover is one of the devices or the apps everybody's been using. So how do we complement their application? How do we link the two applications together? There's a lot of a discussion, and hospital choosing different avenues to go. We would love to hear more from you guys as well. And as a part of the roadmap, as we did the single sign-on for the web, we will do the single sign-on for the mobile app as well. So in this way, again, bring convenience, bring security. Mainly it's a convenience for the end user, so you don't have to log in twice in different systems. And some of the use cases, just wanted to share. I heard 3 hospitals yesterday. I think that's Avira, Arkansas Children's and Cincinnati Children's, all the fantastic ladies tell me, we don't have a pagers, or maybe someone will have a 6 pagers just because the physician wanted. But I think moving forward, that there is a lot of, at least in Canada, we have some big telcos to pull away from the paging services, so you don't have a lot of pagers. But we understand that pager has its convenience. So how do you replace the pager with an app, provide you similar features, but even more? So this is one of the use cases we can talk about. And also, we wanted to extend the Connexall outside just for nurses. We want to extend it beyond the 4 walls for physicians. So now you can do a true team collaboration. It's not the last minute the nurse have to call the physician. So that can be a continuous of a communication. And one more thing is, this has actually been in Connexall for the longest time. But now with the mobility piece, you can totally leverage. It's your contact center or your centralized code management. Now it's totally can leverage the mobile platform, not only to do all the process after a certain event, but also you can use the mobile app to trigger the alarms. I realize we're actually running we're so passionate about it, and we're running very late.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe we'll speed it up so there's enough time for questions. Good point. So many of you have discussed, hospital at home initiatives, and we've been observing on the sidelines in terms of, where are their challenges? What else can we do to help with your hospital at home initiatives? And, not one size fits all. I've heard all sorts of different types of programs here. But we know that this is a natural extension of Connexall's interoperability platform, moving into the hospital at home space. So, one of the things, the challenges that we've heard from organizations is, what if it's patient choice? So now, just similar to some of the hospital and health systems that we deal with, it's also going to be a mixed environment in terms of medical devices and things like that. So when we talk about moving in a natural evolution of the Connexall platform, that's one of the natural evolutions to say, if it is patient choice, if it is mixed environment, we can help. We have expertise there, and we can certainly help with that challenge. One of the other ones really is around filing data, right? So how do I get the data back into the EMR? This is another platform. Now it's sitting out on an island. And so obviously we've worked with many EMR vendors in terms of having two-way integration. How do we help file that data that's outside the walls of the hospital and bring it and file it appropriately in the medical record? So with some of those challenges, we've heard, how can Connexall help? The other one is around service, right? When you are working with multiple solution providers, there's nothing more frustrating when you have to solve an issue and everybody says, not me, right? It's like, we need to solve this issue, it's impacting patient care. And obviously for those of you that have worked with us for many years, we take this to heart, we take a leadership role, even if it's not a Connexall issue. And we certainly do the same, right? There's a wide variety of different issues when it comes to hospital at home in terms of supporting patients and families in that environment. And so you have a different set of solution providers and a different set of challenges. And, we would extend that leadership role in supporting you in that environment the same way we do in the hospital environment. So really excited about the opportunity around some of the use cases they're shared here at the hospital home space, and excited about the natural extension of the Connexall platform here. So I'm going to keep moving so we have enough time for questions. Yihan touched base on the Connexall Cloud. If some of you are not aware, we are running the Innovation Center in the cloud. We have been working on this initiative for some time, and really it's been methodical. We haven't had a lot of customers come to us to say, okay, you're next on my list. I need to move, Connexall into the cloud. I need to move my alarm notification or alarm management system to the cloud. But we were still mindful to say we still need to, embark on our journey, which we've been doing for the last couple of years. And so we've had a methodical approach here to say we're going to keep doing this in the background, and we're going to mature it to a certain point, because we understand the benefits and the scalability benefits, the best practice benefits when we look at a potential aggregation of data, speed to features, right? Like this product roadmap, for it just being available there for all of you at once, not having to go and install it locally on a site, and really serving as a gateway to being able to do AI-based use cases, right? We know that the power of the cloud in enabling that, and we couldn't have an AI strategy or embark on an AI strategy without having some of these foundational pieces in place. So really excited about the work that's been happening in the cloud and how it offers us different ways to support you as you move through your strategies, but also how it enables the product roadmap in other ways. Okay, so I am going to hand it back to Ian.
Thank you. And I think when we talk about the product, again, before we're technology focused, we're still technology focused, but we spin it off. Technology have to make a meaningful use for the end user. So the care center, the experience is what the team, from a designing team, the development team, to the QA test team and the implementation team. Now everybody's focusing on what does matter to the end user and to the patient. So care center is very important. Like we said, the care center, we didn't say patient center, is because actually to us, I think a very straight saying is the actually clinicians and the nurses are our first customer. By supporting them, they can take care of the patient. So we're indirectly supporting patient, proud of that, but we need to take a look at it, the first experience. So there are different initiatives in this particular category. So when we talk about, I think yesterday we talked about the centricity. It's a patient centricity and a clinician centricity. One is, I think a lot of you, and I particularly have someone told me, I told you guys 2 years ago. We hear this a lot of times. Sometimes it's we wanted to take all the information in, we need to plan out, and this is the right time, we wanted to go all in, is to be able to connect different data source of the patient throughout the patient journey. And I think Lori yesterday asked me a good question, saying, well, if you guys are not getting the most of their patient data from patient monitor system, who else does, right? So yes, in Connexall, we take a lot of the data, but before we focus on the actionable items first. And we said, let's just get the clinician be aware of. These are the alarms they need to be aware of. But now, as we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about machine learning, we talk about data-driven outcome, say if we do not take the data and we do further analytics on it, we're wasting a big pot of gold mine there. So we wanted to create the foundation to work with you to be able to collect the data, and we wanted to run the analytics on top of the data. And that's not just about the patient fall. Because one thing I think I did mention this last year, there are multiple different reasons contribute to patient fall. Everybody knows more than I do. What I heard is also, could be medications, could be hypertension, delirium, malnutrition, your Morse scores, and previous hospital fall. So just like your early warning scores, right? So you have a temperature going up, a heart rate going down, breathing pattern change. How do we identify this is the one? And I don't think it is our expertise, even though we love to come up with a formula, but you guys are. And we wanted to give you a platform to allow you to acquire all the data and be able to leverage the infrastructure and create your own algorithm to be able to support the patient better. And again, there are a lot of asks that say, can we get, if the patient moved from one room to the other, I don't want my nurse to move the assignment. But currently, by default is Connexall is assigned to a particular room. Now, if we really moved into this, we already did it with several hospitals, is the patient can move around as long as the nurse doesn't need to move, they will stay. You don't need to redo the assignment. So if the patient has run into a code in the diagnostic imaging department, then the nurse will get notified, even though they're not on the unit. So these are the back-end system. Again, like we said, these are the building foundation that we need to make it happen. But it is important for us to be able to put the foundation down and then be able to open it up to create more use cases. The images on the screen, this is something, after Jen joined on board, she's passionate talk about engaging the patient in the care journey. I think everybody knows that. But we're thinking is, how does a Connexall be able to help that? In one way is, if the patient has a high fall risk, so it would be important for the patient to know, if you need to go to the washroom, please call your nurse. If that's the walking condition, you have to be on the walker, make sure you bring the walker. So how do we get the patient as a part of the care journey for themselves as well? Is we're talking about display the information in the inpatient room display, smart display. And I know there is the EMR vendors and some content management company also put the content there. But here is you put additional information about their care, about the conditions, and for touchscreens, you will even be able to trigger additional activities out from the screen. And also the same thing for the display outside the patient room. Because this is interesting. I was shared by a long-term care facility, has a lot of dementia patients. So they're saying the patient, it's very hard to remember which room they belong to after they're wandering around on the floor. So then they found out is the patient remember a picture, patient remember a pattern. So maybe it's a rose that they remember. This is a picture of their family member. So they wanted to display this actually on the door outside, so that remind the patient this is for the residents, this is where you're going. So that inspires thinking about, about the patient fall. We wanted the clinician to go into the room. Before you go in, there is an isolation condition. This is a high fall risk patient, and there's additional information about the patient that you wanted to have a glance, but instead of having stickers, right? Because we used to have stickers and pin those things on the door, but now we wanted to digitize it. And in order to continue to support the patient flow, this is, again, what we found out is you support the patient flow is by giving the information to the clinician and to the housekeeping or environmental service team and the patient transport team in advance, so they can coordinate the patient flow. So this is a part of the strategy we wanted to involve and extend. Since we already offered the patient transport solution, the environmental service solution, we wanted to put everything together and give you an opportunity to see the room status of each one, so your bed team can assign the patient and to see every process along the way. Now, the sixth bucket is something that I would say we call it very bold for us to state, but it's a natural extension for Connexall. So it is the smart hospital buildings. So a lot of you is aware of Connexall already connecting to the building automation systems, the HVAC systems, securities, and CCTV cameras. So all these systems already as a part of the integration platform that we offer alarms and alerts. But on top of it, now the natural extension for that is we're looking at the smart building truly from an integrated building management platform perspective. So if you search up this particular name called IBMP, it actually is talking about, I'll give you some use cases after, but this is what we extended the Connexall integration and interoperability to the building side, but dig deep down. The same way as we did for the the clinical side. We're not running away from where our core business, but we extended the service offering. So not only you make the patient, the clinical environment, the workflow, the process very smooth, but also looking at the environment, how do we support them? And what we're looking at is actually getting us a deeper understanding of, as Sandy said, the hospital in homes. This is to extend. But here is we understand connecting to the Internet of Things for sensors. And for everybody is passionate about data analytics. And everything happening in the building, we're really talking about metadata. It's not about, you get 500 alarms per hour. This is about millions and millions of the data. Even though they're a small packet, but there are still millions and millions of data. And optional to push over to the cloud solution. So what are the use cases? How do we support this? This is before we're thinking about it, but we're shy away from sharing with everybody. Now I think it is the time that we would share. So typical use cases will be the energy optimization, as everybody is trying to go with a zero carbon footprint, and how does Connexall be able to support that? With the sensors, with the smart meters, how can we support with a better environment for our planet? And when we talk about the rooms, when we talk about occupancy, how do we make sure the room has been set in with the right temperature for the people when you are here, and also make sure you turn off after you leave? I know there's some building automation system does that, but as a holistic view, building automation does certain things, but there are additional things outside with the extension. And this is why you also wanted to tie it with the smart building securities. We have a hospital, just mentioned that they have 500 cameras in the hospital. So when there is an alarm, could be someone pulled a fire station, could be pulled a pendant, or there is an infrared detection of the cameras. How do we get this information? And we provide this information presented to the system that need to take actions. Again, if you dissect them, that's still integrations. But if you put them together, it's a use case. It's an end user would benefit and impact by this. And the climate control, this is talking about our integration to the weather network. If you're knowing there is a heat stroke, like as a heat wave, 2 o'clock this afternoon, how do you adjust the building in order to provide the best patient experience, but also save energy? So I think there is a lot of, to me, technically, it is very natural extension, but from an end user experience, this is an untapped area. So I think we also want everybody's feedback to be able to provide your feedback to see how we can expand in these areas. Even though we already have the original scope, this is how we're going to tackle. And the last one is about indoor air quality. And this is very important. And I think in a hospital, you have negative pressure room just to keep the isolation patient, but also overall as how we're going to keep the indoor air quality. Again, by not to burn the energy out to the roof in order to turn on all the vents and the air circulation. So this is in a new area, but we're so excited that we can extend. Now we truly can say it's an ecosystem of a Connexall in the hospital, not only at the patient bedside, at nursing station, now it is the environment experience for that. So I think we successfully shared all the 6 areas.
So just to wrap up, we're really excited about the plan. We hope you are too. We definitely want to take questions. The thing I was thinking about just now was that Dan's already got his paddle ready. The thing I was thinking about just now was I already have gray hair, but Yihan's also got to execute on this.
I got it too.
The next time you see us on stage together, it might be a different sort of feeling. But no, certainly open to questions at this time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all very exciting to see. I had a quick question. Yeah, so Dan from Salina Regional Health Center. On the mapping, I'm very excited about that because one barrier that I try to really help with is getting patients smooth, seamless access to where they need to go within the healthcare facility. So will that mapping ability be able to be something that we can share with patients?
Yeah, so the plan is this is going to be an app to service two things. One is to be able to show you a map, highlight a certain area, and tell you what the alarm is there. So this will be an integrated map. You can see everything. And of course, you can filter it out. We already have the mapping client, but this new one will be more sleek. The other thing is, yes, we'll embedded the technology and necessary information. So it's not going to be an app. It is going to be a link you can share with the patient and telling them this is where the registration is, this is how you want it to go, and you will be able to send them a link as a part of your notification to them.
I think I'd add there, I think, Dan, there's a lot of utility in this, right? Like you said it from the patient perspective, from the clinical patient flow. What if I'm building a new tower and I'm designing, like there's a lot of use cases, right, that we could use the map for inside the healthcare facilities.
Well, one thing that we didn't say about that is whoever asks the question will be on the hook to provide us with more use case and the detailed requirements, even though we're working on it, right? Thank you, Dan.
Noted.
Hi, David Shivey from Stanford Healthcare. It's great to see the product roadmap, and I think, as I think back to my days in product management, it's also important to think about the hospital's roadmaps. And as I talk to people in here, I think the roadmap for a lot of us is to move to Epic Unified Communications and just the help that we need in getting there smoothly and working with your team. And this has been on your vision and roadmap for 20 years in terms of, supporting whatever endpoint you want to connect to. But I think a lot of us in here are looking forward to what lies ahead of us with Epic Unified Communications and looking for you guys and helping us and supporting us to get there.
Thank you, David. And your favorite guy is the back. He probably have his phone on already. Tim, don't look backwards. That's you.
Hi, John Wald, Children's Hospital, Colorado. Quick question, is there anything on the roadmap to update icons? Where I'm going with that is I did submit a request to Connexall about 2 months ago, and I'm waiting for a better way for my PBX office to be able to get to the emergency response activations. They're not very technical, and in my mind, I'm thinking a customizable icon, so like a generic icon with alphabetical or numerical. I could put a C, a blue C, inside the icon for code blue, so their eyes draw to that C, and then they know the code blue is inside there. So is there anything to update those icons?
Absolutely. I think this is, again, another way it is to push the application in front of the end user to make it easy for them. Like I said, it is always, we actually spend a lot of times, some of the developers love to draw those icons, but eventually we called the artist to come in and design these. And we thought we designed like few hundreds of icons, that should be enough. But more and more we heard is, can we upload our own icons? So definitely this is something that I would say, whether it's in the immediate roadmap or a short term, we definitely wanted to hear more from you, but I think this is something we would have committed to do.
Lori McCauley, Arkansas Children's. So when you talk about the AI and the predictive analytics, so have you put into consideration all of that alarm data that we're not acting on, but we know that we're set up by room? So I'm going to give you an event example in a NICU multi-purpose room, which is a private room, and it doesn't always have event acuity in it. But we spend a lot of times when there is a vent, and then maybe the vent wasn't hooked up right to the care panel, and so they come to us after the event and said, we didn't hear the alert, or it didn't come to us. So is there any thought in AI, if something is normalized for a room, to remind us to check or work with biomed to check. Today, the nursing team actually does the respiratory therapist tests the vent twice a day to make sure it goes off. So is there a way to kind of look at device that should live in a room, and if those events are not coming through, you're not seeing even the non-events, to alert an administrator or HTM or someone that maybe that needs to be looked at, instead of just doing it post-event?
Absolutely. So you want me to address it first? Yeah. So I think that there are two ways to address that. One is probably we don't even need AI at this point, right? And I heard from other CHAM members, that's our customer advisory board members, say, if I see there are typically 500 alarms happening on my floor within an hour, out of a sudden it become dropped to 20. So this is an anomaly. So maybe we should be more proactive instead of eventually nurse say, oh, I didn't get a patient who rang the call bell. Or they say, maybe we should advance to notify the administrator, say, maybe something wrong, maybe there is a network connection, maybe there is a device. So can we notify the anomaly? So that is just one of the use cases, absolutely. But eventually, I think as you know how many patients on the floor, possibly that is a particular magic that you have one patient versus you have 30 for sure, but typically this doesn't happen. So without AI, we can help with that situation, but of course, if you extend it, then that coverage will be not just looking at anomaly, you're looking at the trends. Like Cindy talked about, predictive is we're looking at what might be happening. And the prescriptive is based on what is happening, can we suggest you something? Because I think this is what the AI in healthcare is. You're definitely not making a decision for a human, just like your GPS. Hey, there is an accident, we just learn real time. You still can decide to go that way if you so choose, but here's a suggestion, right? So I think this is where we wanted to achieve what you need today, but also extend these features adding on top of it with the AI solutions. Good question, Larry. Thank you.
Steve Landry, Scripps Health. My question's focused on the ability to trigger the virtual call points through the WorldConnex app. We recently deployed an application throughout our ED with customizable alerts that announce when trauma's arrived, STEMI's arrived, et cetera. And right now, as you know, when trauma comes in, they're not going to be near a PC to trigger that virtual call point. That is available today. We have an open case for the past few months on that. We haven't gained any traction. But my question would be is, how do we ensure that the users that are logged in are going to get the accurate virtual call points when the users are device-based, not unit-based?
So I think the one thing is these are great questions, and then later we can even show work on the actual device and work on it. I think like you said, either code trauma or we have been working with another hospital on code STEMI, right? So we have this app called MyConnex. So this is a per user configuration so that you allow, for example, you can have the entire hospital of nurses all have access to that particular one alarm. But then they have to tell where you are, what is the particular situation, the locations. But also you can create if you really want, it can be per nurse-based alarm. But you don't want a per nurse-based based on their assignment. Maybe you can just say this is a per floor-based, so that unit-based, so you will be able to select. But also during those code situations, we always try to minimize the user interaction to the minimum, so you don't have to be on the phone all the time. But there has to be a fine balance. So I think this is the great opportunity. That's why our development team, our implementation team are here, so that we can even maybe able to give you a solution before you go end of the day. Great solutions. Thanks.
Yes, hi. This is Patrick McDevitt from Children's Hospital, Philadelphia. So the mapping function, very interesting. Is that exclusive to Mobile Connect, or is that something we can use on a Rover app running on an iPhone?
Sorry, I just missed the most important thing. What is
the mapping function?
Mapping.
On mobile? It requires Mobile Connect, correct?
Yeah. So currently, as we are designing it, that this is going to be, very focused on Mobile Connects. But I'm sure later because there has to be a few iteration phases, knowing what is the feature needed and what are the interface. So eventually, I think this hasn't been discussed, but I'm just make a bold statement here is, eventually we will probably push this to other devices as needed, and your web application will be able to use that too.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I'll just add in there too. I think one of the things is, as we continue to work with the EMR vendors, in this case, Epic as an example, we've been working with them for their Epic showroom, and they've said that they're ready to create an alarm management profile in the showroom and start to create a blueprint around that. So I think that type of collaboration, further collaboration with the EMR vendors is going to be key for us, right, in terms of how do we take this functionality, pertinent functionality that's relative, and then integrate it with the mobility suite of the EMR provider. So those types of partnerships will be important to also, I think, further advance these types of features.
Norris Carroll, Sarasota. During the playoffs last spring, I was talking with my friend Stu, who's chief of orthopedics at the University of Iowa, and I was asking him how he was liking the playoff games. And he said, well, I have a problem. And I said, what's the problem? And he says, my Apple Watch screams, call an ambulance, call an ambulance. And I have to take it off and bury it before I watch a game. So my question is, how does Connexall identify false alarms?
I think that's a Yeon question. I already have the gray hair.
Now you're making me having gray hair now.
I think that for sure, Norris, is a journey, right? And I think you picked on, there's sort of I'll call them the tried, tested, and true, sort of robust medical device environment, and then sort of this new frontier, right? And that's, in those cases, the wearable devices where, I think there's personal experiences where I think people trust more, and then there's sort of like this back and forth about how do they fit in the healthcare community. For us, there's a lot of practical knowledge, I think, around that we've gained over the years, even with when we were sharing the Clinical Elevate program, and how we go out and we look at working with customers. Ultimately, it's working with customers to be able to say, this is how big the leads off problem is, and what do we need to do about that. So I'm just going back historically to say, how have we improved the product to suppress alarms? So it's really been case by case in my experience. Yeon, I know you have more experience around this specifically, but when we've worked with clients, what I've seen is, as they've raised certain things or we've asked and inquired, we've then dove deep on those specific things. If we take the leads off example, we've done a ton of work around that, Norris, and it's because, it's a prevalent problem, it spans everybody, and then how do we make sure that those are relevant? Their leads are really off, and somebody's responding to those. So I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think this is more going to the point is, first is the methodology, right? That there is no absolutely, nobody can make sure absolutely that is the right alarm or not. But more often is, if you don't respond to the alarm, you feel like you're missing something. This is how the alarm fatigue was created. And I think going forward, this is something probably somewhere down the road, is with the big data, with all the historical information, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence will be able to help qualify that to a certain point, but still need the human to be there to chime in. For example, we've been working with a hospital on the early warning scores, so they created the formula for the 16 hours deterioration in advance. So when the formula generated the alarms, Connexall received it. We're sending to the rapid response team. And over to the team, when physician reaches the room, they'll see, oh, this patient is on a certain medication that is normal behavior coming from this particular medication. So I would have the system to mute the alarms for 30 minutes or to an hour. So when the data is being sent back to the formula, so that particular formula is learning, say, why people wanted to do the mute, and you can give them the options to say because of medication, because of this. So their own formulas start becoming learning more and be able to generate more, I guess, a qualified notification in future. Again, like Connexall, even though I have a great clinical team, but it has to work with the hospital, leverage the data, leverage the past data, leverage the existing information, and be able to either predict or qualify the prediction to a certain point. That's where my engineering mind comes into place. Never say 100%. Nothing is 100%. Nothing is real time. Everything is near real time to the max, to our ability. So I don't know if that answers your question. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, so for clinical decision support, as Mike Spun is our legal counsel, but he is always a great business partner. This is where, again, later I make a statement about the entire Connexall team is everybody comes in to help with the product. You want to say the lawyer has nothing to say about the product, but this is the guy, sales reach out to them, product reach out to him. So regarding the clinical decision support, is where you get all the data, you create a suggestion, right, for the result, and you suggest it. But the question is, it is a decision support. You need to present the information over to the team, and based on the previous data, based on the information, then you can qualify. Again, I think, Mike, if I missed anything, here's the mic. Go ahead. Mike can speak on the mic. Go ahead.
With the false alarm, we can't be the ones that say this is a false alarm.
Correct.
That's, in the end of the day, I think that's something that needs to be noted, that it can never be, as you said, it's always going to be a GPS where there's an accident here, but you'd have to decide whether maybe it's really not, maybe someone else reported it, but it's not there. And we can't be the ones that make that decision. So ultimately, that will be a limitation of any medical device that purports to support the clinical decision maker at the end of the line, but there's always going to have to be that clinical decision maker within the hospital.
That's why we think the word co-pilot is the absolutely amazing definition, because you don't need a co-pilot to fly, but you do need a co-pilot to fly better. But you're the ultimate one who's making a decision. I think Danny did mention about the co-pilot yesterday as well. So I think, thank you, Mike, for this.
Brendan Lobb from Cedars-Sinai. Fun hearing about all kind of the new stuff we're looking at and whatnot. When I see some of this as an engineer, I'm seeing you're making updates to the database, but then all these other stuff you're adding. So I'm seeing more nodes, more call points, more stuff like that we're managing. Are there improvements that we're going to be getting to help that management easier for our engineers that are actually in the system doing it? I'm thinking things like simple updates, like my colleague over here needing to add a single number to the rooming convention, but having to go touch individual nodes one by one. It's easy to create a new unit per se, but making updates to current units, or specifically during COVID where we have so many flexibility between naming and things moving and then coming back and then moving over here. Anything you can touch on upon how that will be easier, or development you're doing in that area?
Great question. Actually, I think this is, again, what we said, our first customers are the clinicians who's using the system. But our second customers are our own implementation team who has to touch the system all the time, and the support team, and the Connexall administrators at the hospital who's managing the system. So one of the roadmap, I think just because we have so many, we can't just align in, is the strengthened and advanced administration tools that will be able to, even for what you're asking today, I think Jason somewhere, he already had the ideas, but you can run queries and you will be able to make the change easy. But again, we wanted to get out of, okay, run a query. We wanted to give you a good interface to let you be able to make changes, maybe icons, the alias, and all the call point names, make it easier for you. So definitely that is on the roadmap. Thank you. Our time is continue to gain.
Yeah, I know. We keep stealing more time.
All right. Oh.
Hi, my name is Najla. I'm with Health Partners. I have a question regarding your WorldConnex app. Does it have a capability, like if a nurse is in a room and she has a patient that she has both hands on, she has to be sterile, and all of a sudden something happens where she needs to call a staff assist? Would WorldConnex have the ability to trigger an alarm verbally?
Not as of today, but there are customers did ask about that already, just like you say, Siri. And this is one thing I would say, every time when I do a presentation, I'd be watch out very carefully not to say Alexa. If I say that, probably my home, someone is going to popping up, right? And I'll be very careful to say, don't say Siri. Maybe I said already. Maybe some of your phones already, right? So it is the same thing. It's the voice activation. It is a technology that enables another way to trigger it. Even though I think these are the beauty of having the conversation with the customer. We hear from one, we hear from two, then maybe when you raise up, everybody say, yeah, that's a great way. Then it will get on to prioritize in the roadmap. So I think the answer is definitely, but we can talk more in details because that also depends on when you have everything there in hand that you can't touch the device. When you ask, then everything behind the scene is the same. You trigger it from your device an alarm or you voice over an alarm. You're just missing this. We do text to speech. Now it's the speech to an action. In one way, I would say we worked with the AI voice assistant company already. So the patient, especially like a burn patient, like on the burn unit, they can't move themselves very easily. So trying to find a call button, it's very hard. So they're having the Alexa device in the room. So you actually can speak to it and say, tell my nurse I'm hungry, tell my nurse I'm in pain. So that will convert into a Connexall notification to the nurse. And when nurse received it, and the nurse, typically everybody know we can acknowledge. But when you acknowledge to say, I'm actually coming, the device will speak back to the patient and say, yes, nurse is on the way. So in this way, you don't have to. So I think we're kind of halfway there. We just need to establish more use cases, understanding, and put this on the roadmap. Great suggestion. Thank you. All right. I guess we're good. Can I make just one statement? And sorry, this is not part of the presentation. I just wanted to say, like many, many years ago, when we had the WorldConnex, there's teams and putting into the effort to put in the innovation center and to create the product that you can put into the innovation center. And again, as Ed mentioned yesterday, the success of a company is not the product, it's actually the people. So they're the one who create the product, and that's why we have, who are the Connexall employees here? Please raise hand, please. All right. See, they're coming
All of you.
to, yeah. And you
Everyone.
Yeah, so I think it doesn't matter which position they work on, everybody is supporting the product from the back end. So you may have a developer actually develop it, you may have product team who work with you taking the requirements, you have the team who actually implement it, support it, and all the peripheral service. And everybody actually is today to make this event happen. You are a great customer. We love to hear from you, but also would love to give a round of applause to our staff here and to make this happen for the roadmap.